counting down.
Oh, this is Historic Tea with the Twins. I'm McCarty.
I'm Kelly.
And we have been very bored lately. And we thought, why not
share historical information with non-existent friends on the internet.
Because we don't have friends, but we do have master's degree in ancient European history.
We sure do. So
we're going to use those skills we learned, and we're going to talk about it here. And it might be boring, it might be fun, we have no idea. But so we're going to do that, and it's
going to be great.
It's going to be great.
You might see some cats hanging around. We are, in fact,
in the cat's library.
Crazy cat ladies, and they have to know what we're doing at all times. So.
And we don't ever come in here, so they're wondering why we're in here. So today, we are going to start with Amelia Earhart. One, because she's a badass bitch, and two, because I've already done a paper on her in grad school, and why not use the resources you already have? So, I'm going to tell Kelly about it, and maybe next time she'll tell me something. We don't know. If there is a next time, this might be really stupid and nobody likes to watch it. Anyway, okay, so I have my computer so I can read things. So, Amelia Earhart, she is well known for her aviation and most well known for her disappearance. She was born in 1897 in Kansas. She was very much like tomboy. I like to climb trees and look at bugs and catch snakes, all of that stuff. Obviously, that was not a thing for girls in the 20th century. And I guess,
when did you say she was born?
1897.
1897, okay.
But she would have been doing her things in the 20th century. So,
1897?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, along with all of those things that she liked to do that weren't for girls, she also became a pilot, which is pretty great.
Unknown to women at the time?
Yeah, well, really unknown to everybody because the airplane wasn't invented until 1903 by the Wright brothers in Kitty Hawk. So everything is very new. They don't really know anything. So Amelia saw her first plane at the Iowa State Fair in 1907.
Is she from Iowa?
She's from Kansas.
Kansas.
I don't know why she was at the Iowa State Fair. She was. Plus, Kansas and Iowa aren't that far away. She was 10. She was not impressed by what she called a fiver.
A what?
A fiver, because I guess she didn't know flyer. She said fiver. But to be fair, early planes were sketch. Basically 2 toothpicks, a sheet, and, a handful of paper clips.
Love that.
So, okay. So how did she become the first woman to cross the Atlantic? First woman to cross from Maine to Florida. She was the first for so many different things. So her long list of accolades is ridiculous, and I'm not going to go through all of them because there's so many, and she's amazing and wonderful, and everyone should look up to Amelia Earhart. So, when she was 10 years after the state fair, she joined she went to an air show. Stop eating my water. She went to an air show, and she saw stunt pilots. So she was really excited about that. She's like, oh, these
stunt pilot?
Stunt pilots.
Stunt pilot.
So she was doing stunt pilots, and the pilot, I don't have his name, dive bombed her and her cousin, and she thought it was the coolest thing. And after 10 years, planes had obviously changed a lot and improved, and now they were more like what we would think of as planes. After she went to school, she was gonna go to college for medical stuff, I think, and for 2 years she went over to Canada and was working with World War I, helping with soldiers and stuff. She met Frank Hawks during that time. He was a World War II pilot, and volunteering. So she was not serving in the army, obviously. She was volunteering because women can't be in the army. She
volunteering, nursing, or?
I think so. It didn't really talk too much about that on the sources I could find, which most of the sources I have are from the Amelia Earhart Museum or her family autobiography type thing. So when she left Canada, she moved to California to be closer to her parents because her parents had moved there. She started taking lessons in 1921.
Pilot lessons?
Flight lessons, yep, from a woman, Netta Snook. And then she saved up all of her money that she was making by doing various jobs. It didn't really go into what kind of job she was doing, but she saved up all that money and bought herself a secondhand Kinner Arista. She called it Canary. Can you guess why it was called Canary?
Because it was yellow?
Because it was yellow. Ding, ding, ding. All right, so 2 days after passing her flight lesson, she was in her first flight exhibit. And here's the list of accolades that she had. So she did her first. She was like, I'm already gonna get started. Like, I'm not waiting. We're not doing any of that.
How old is she?
1921. So she was maybe, let's see, she would have been 10, 20, 25. I don't know, math. Somebody do that. So these are the list of awards she won in the next decade. First woman to hit the record altitude, or she set the women's altitude record at 14,000 feet. In 1929, she won third place in the women's air derby. She was the first woman and second person to fly across the Atlantic after Charles Lindbergh. Yes, that Lindbergh, of the missing Lindbergh baby.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, we should do that, definitely that one. She was the first woman to fly nonstop across the U.S. She also, this is actually pretty cool, she won the first woman to win a Distinguished Flying Cross, which is a medal that's usually given to military veterans for heroism and extraordinary achievement while practicing in aerial flight. So that's a pretty big deal, because not only did she not practice aerial fights, she also wasn't in the army, or the military at all. So that's pretty impressive for her. She was the first person to fly solo across the Pacific from Hawaii to the U.S. mainland. Sorry, I lost my spot. Okay, so she wanted to be the first woman to go across or circumvent the navigation on a solo journey. Wiley Post did it in 1933, but incidentally, he died in a plane crash in 1935. So clearly, air travel's not great yet.
Not super safe.
Not overly safe. So, okay, when they say solo, they don't actually mean solo, because I think what they mean is the only pilot, because she did have a navigator go with her, both attempts. So she attempted it twice. The first time she attempted it was March of 1937, where her plane was wrecked. Like, it got wrecked, I think she crashed it, and she had to rebuild it. So then in June, she had I can't remember what the old guy's name was.
She had a new navigator?
Yeah, so she has a new navigator, and his name is Fred Newman. Fred Newman. They left in June of 1937. The first leg was from Miami to New Guinea. That one was 29,000 miles. Sorry, I was going to say 2,900, but no, 29,000 miles. That doesn't compute in my brain, because that seems like too far away. Also, she's doing her world circumvention around the equator, because it was like further, and it was the biggest point of
the most distance. The widest part of the Earth.
Yes. So they arrived in New Guinea. It took them 28 days to arrive. So they arrived. She left on the 1st. She arrived on like the 29th of June.
Wait, 28 days to New Guinea? And they were flying nonstop, or did they stop other places?
See, that's what I was curious about, because I didn't really say anything. It didn't say anything about that. I'm guessing they had to stop to refuel, at least. Because, well, the second leg of the trip, they had to stop and refuel, and that's why they got lost. But they had to have slept. They can only carry so much fuel. I'm not really sure on that. I couldn't find any evidence, but if anyone... Just kidding. Nobody's watching this. But if you happen to watch it and you know, put it down below. Okay, so their next leg was to Howland Island, which was 2,556 miles away from where they were in New Guinea. This was the journey. It gets dicey. Their maps were not super accurate for this area. Not a lot of people had been there. Can I zoom into this? Apparently not. Okay, so not a lot of people had been over that way, and the island they were getting onto was very small. Like, maybe, what does it say, a mile-ish? 1.5 miles. So, on July 2nd, they started flying. Around this whole area, there was Coast Guards, so that she could have communications with people, and also, like, in the event something would happen, they would be there, and because the landing area was so small, they would be lighting the way with fire.
Like wildfire, or like candles?
No, like, I'm guessing on the ships.
Like torches?
No, I'm guessing they had them on the ships. You know, like on
maybe like big bonfires?
Yeah. I don't know. But they had fires. So, they left on the 2nd. Apparently it was a really crap day weather-wise. It was super foggy and cloudy. So they couldn't really see much. The radio transmissions were getting lost in kind of like the airwaves obviously weren't very good. I don't know how radios work. So she couldn't send real messages, and she could only send like kind of crappy, choppy messages. And by the way, I will say, too, before they left, they had gotten rid of anything non-essential on the plane and added more fuel. So
Like from New Guinea to
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, on the second leg to the Howland Island.
Because they were already in peril, or because they...
I think they wanted to have some extra leeway because they didn't know exactly where they were going because the maps weren't super accurate, and also because they wanted to have like a good supply. Okay, so she reports running low on fuel and flying at 1,000 feet. So they had just been kind of circling the area, trying to find island. But also you gotta remember they don't have any like. Fred Newman can only do so much. He doesn't really know where they're at. They don't have a ton of like. It's not like they have. I don't know. Do they have binoculars? I don't know.
Like radar?
Yeah, radar, anything like that. So her last transmission was June 3rd at 8:45 a.m. She last reports saying they were running north to south. And that's the last anyone hears from them. They don't get any other communications. She just disappears. Her and Fred Newman. We don't want to forget Fred Newman, even though most women are forgotten, so why can't we forget a man? Anyway, so they're lost. Nobody ever knows what happens to them again. They never have definitive proof of what happened to them. There's several different theories. I'll talk about that in a minute, but they have no proof what happened to them and no evidence. They never find anything. So right after the trip, it was highly publicized. The fact that she disappeared was super shocking because people knew who she was and she was interested. Like they were all wanted to see her do what she wanted to do. They wanted to see her succeed. So this was the most expensive and largest air and sea search in naval history. And to this day, it's one of the most popular, well-known
aircraft disasters.
Yeah. The U.S. spent $4 million searching 50,000 square miles of the ocean.
What's the timeline that we're in this?
Oh, like the year?
Yeah.
1937. So she left the U.S. in June of 1937. This is going to be the beginning of July.
Okay.
So then on July 19th, they call off the search. They're clearly they probably don't want to, but they're sending a lot of resources, and they just can't keep looking forever. And the likelihood of them being still alive is probably not significant. So then they were declared dead 2 years later.
I thought you had to be missing 7 years to be declared dead.
I think you do now, but maybe, I don't know, maybe because they were in the ocean and no one ever saw them again. Maybe you only needed 2 years back then, or also the odds of them surviving is not high.
And that fact might just be from TV. I don't actually know if that's true or not, so.
True facts.
That might just be a TV thing.
Okay, so these are the theories that people have on what happened to her. These are like the most common and the most
believable. Ridiculous.
No. Believable, yes, because I don't think there's anything. I'm sure they have theories out there that the aliens took her, or well, now that we know the aliens are in the water. But yeah, I didn't find anything crazy. Again, I found these on the Amelia Earhart Museum, I think. So the first one we have here is in. Oh, actually, this one is kind of crazy. So in 2006. The National Geographic aired an episode of Undiscovered History that proposed she was on a trip to, like her trip, she used the trip to disappear. This kind of and she started a new life, and they suggested,
like Girl?
Yeah, they suggested she was Irene Craigmile Boland, and this was suggested by Joseph Gervais, who wrote a book, I think in like the 1970s. It's since been debunked. It's since been pulled off shelves. Like I couldn't find the actual book, so the only resource I have is off of Wikipedia. But Wikipedia is not a terrible source, as people are wont to say. So the real Irene Craigmile. Oh, and he also thought this because he saw Irene on a train or something, and was like, "That looks like exactly what Amelia Earhart would have looked like when she got old." Which, if that's not evidence,
I mean,
I don't know what it is.
Photo recreations. The age generators or whatever.
I mean, fair. So, she sued him for $105 million, and it was removed from shelves.
How old would she have been in the 70s?
Really old.
Like 90? 80?
I don't know. Math. Anyone in the comments, let us know. Another theory, and this is a theory that her family members believe to be most likely, is that she was captured by the Japanese. So at this time, let's see, we're 1937, so it's right before World War II.
Well, wasn't Europe in World War II already? Or like,
I think they start in 1939.
Germany was like gearing up to be crazy.
Either it had started or it was getting ready to start. I think it was getting ready to start. But in America, Japanese wasn't part of the war, I don't believe. But in America, the Japanese and America were already at odds because they were fighting over China. Let's see. Oh, they were fighting over China because they wanted the trade. Japan had gotten into a war with China, trying to take trade. I think it's one of the Opium Wars. Maybe we'll talk about that later. Anyway, Americans were already sus of the Japanese, even prior to Pearl Harbor. And I got this from the Brink at Boston University. Boston University. So you can go look at it on there if you want to. Some more theories.
That's the theory, is that she got taken by the Japanese.
Yeah.
And like
never returned.
Kill her or
It doesn't
hold her
really say.
prisoner.
It just says that they think that she got taken by the Japanese. There's no evidence for it. It's just hearsay.
Really into origami and
Yep.
sushi.
Yep.
She just loves sushi, so she stayed on a Japanese island.
Is origami Japanese?
I don't know.
Okay.
Where was the island that she was going to?
So,
Howard Island was where geographically?
I'm going to tell you now.
Okay.
Several theories that she crashed somewhere in sea. I don't know. It's got to be over by New Guinea. Somewhere in that area. It's part of...
Where's New Guinea, though? Is that by Indonesia?
I think so. Yeah, because they would have been flying west from the Pacific.
Their first stop was from America to New Guinea?
Yeah, it was 29,000 miles.
I don't know why, but I thought New Guinea was like... When you were telling me this the first time, I thought it was like... Central America.
Okay, well, it's not. So, she's...
I need a map.
Do we have one?
We had a globe, but I don't know where it went.
That's not a real globe.
I know.
Okay. So, the most popular is that she... And there's slight evidence for this one. Is that she...
I'm gonna look up where New Guinea is, because I'm having a hard time orientating myself.
Okay, so, the Howland Island was on a chain of islands. If you knock anything down, I will stab you.
No, be nice.
No, I wouldn't. But she's...
Oh, it's in Australia.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so
Island
she...
in Australia.
Let's see. They think that she appeared on an island, or disappeared onto one of those islands, crash landing style. They have evidence that they... So this is posed by the International Group of Historic Aircraft Recovery. So, the most popular theory that... Okay, they went off course and landed on Nikurumu. I don't know how to say that, but one of the islands that was near, about 350 miles southwest, which apparently in the ocean isn't very far. A week after the plane crash, a Navy plane saw signs of habitation on an island. No plane, but they did find... Yes.
I need to pause. I forgot what we were talking about.
Amelia Earhart, one of the theories.
Well, yeah, but what was it? She landed on an island?
She landed on an island just south, like 350 miles south of the spot they were supposed to land on.
Okay.
You could probably find the island if you wanted to.
That distracted me, so...
Yeah. So they found, on the island, they found a woman's shoe and a cosmetic jar from the 1930s. So both of those line up with a crash having occurred there.
Because there wouldn't have been that kind of stuff in that area at the time, right?
No, I think it's uninhabited.
An uninhabited island. Howland Island was...
No, Nikumaroro.
Island? Oh, okay. The other one isn't.
I don't know about Howland. It is a very small island, so maybe there wasn't people there. I don't know. I didn't go that far. So they found some plexiglass there as well. It was thought that one or both of them survived the crash. They found improvised tools made out of like rocks and stuff, which suggests they spent some time on the island. In the 1940s, they found human remains, but it was inconclusive if they were Amelia or Newman's. And there's never been any hard evidence to prove that they were found.
They can't tell if it's a man or woman's bones.
It was just like a finger. Well, they found a finger, and that might have been someone else. They found a human finger. I don't know if that's the bones they're speaking of, because it didn't really say one or the other, but yeah, they couldn't conclude. Maybe they didn't have any of the parts that were for women.
When was the body found?
Body parts were found 1940s, so
so they still didn't have.
They didn't have like, yeah, any real.
I thought it was like recently.
No, but yeah, that's all we have. I will put the links in the description if I can figure out how to do that. Otherwise, I'll just put like where I found it. Yeah, we encourage you to go out and find some more about her. Any questions, thoughts, concerns?
I mean, it's crazy that it's still unsolved. Like, they could probably, if they had the bones, like if they still had that finger bone,
See if they can get.
could
like,
they do like DNA or like
ancestry
DNA, like
familial doing it?
like her family? I mean, she wasn't married or had kids.
No.
No. So maybe they had.
Not that I recall.
Like, I don't know. Maybe they should do something about it. And her family thinks she was taken by the Japanese.
Yeah, that's what it said on the.
They don't believe this other theory that she might have survived for a little bit.
From what I found on their website and on like the both the museum and the biography website of her, it sounds like that's what they think. I will also say, I know one of the sources that I read when I first wrote this. Hello, Dennis. I have that source, but when I went to look for it, the source is still there, but that information is no longer on there. I'm gonna keep it in there because it was provided at one time, and this was written 5 years ago, so don't come for me. But yeah, that's all we have.
That's all I have.
Thank you for spilling tea with us, historic tea, because what's history if not old tea?
True facts.
All right, thanks.